People with ADHD really do have different brains, and now scientists can finally prove it. Thanks to a better way of reading brain scans, researchers have found clear evidence that children with ADHD have smaller brain volumes in areas linked to focus, emotion, decision-making, and memory. These structural differences were hard to see before because each hospital uses different scanning machines, which can distort results. But a team in Japan used a clever technique to remove that technical noise, scanning the same people on multiple machines to figure out how much of the difference was due to the equipment. Once that scanner bias was removed, the patterns became clear. ADHD brains really are built differently. This discovery could lead to earlier, more accurate diagnoses and better, more personalized treatments. Another study showed that people with ADHD are much more prone to boredom, not because they are lazy, but because of how their brains handle attention and memory. Poor working memory and trouble focusing can make everyday situations feel dull or frustrating. This ties into the cognitive theory of boredom, which says that boredom is not just a mood, it is what happens when your brain cannot stay engaged. And for people with ADHD, that is often tied to the way their brains are wired. Psychologist John Eastwood, who helped develop this theory, says boredom is actually a message, a sign you may need more purpose or control in your day-to-day life. For people with ADHD, learning to manage boredom with active strategies, like mindfulness or gamifying tasks, may be more helpful than just trying to avoid it. People with ADHD often seem distracted, but what if they are just deeply curious? A growing number of researchers think ADHD may come with an overlooked advantage, an intense, impulsive drive to seek out new information, what they call hypercuriosity. Instead of viewing ADHD only as a disorder marked by distraction and impulsiveness, researchers are beginning to explore how those same traits might actually fuel curiosity and creativity. Rather than being easily distracted, people with ADHD might be neurologically tuned to chase curiosity and uncover unexpected links. Studies suggest this curiosity and impulsivity share similar brain pathways. Both light up reward centers in the brain, much like hunger or craving chocolate. This drive to explore could have been useful in our evolutionary past, especially in unpredictable environments where risk-takers had an edge. In modern settings, though, it can be seen as disruptive, especially in classrooms and offices, where sitting still and following rules is the norm. Research shows people with ADHD often act like busybodies online, bouncing from topic to topic. But once they find something that excites them, they can hyper-focus, like laser-focused hunters. While this pattern seems messy, it often leads to creative thinking. The challenge is that modern education and work settings often try to suppress these behaviors with structure or medication, which may also suppress curiosity. That could mean we are losing out on unique ways of thinking.
Children with higher IQ scores were diagnosed later with ADHD than those with lower scores, according to a recent study. Imagine a child struggling to focus in school, constantly fidgeting and unable to sit still. This child might be dismissed as simply energetic or easily distracted, especially if they are bright and come from a well-off family. However, these behaviors could be indicative of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, a neurodevelopmental condition that affects millions of children worldwide. Researchers analyzed data from over 500 children in Canada and discovered that intelligence, socioeconomic status, gender, and even ethnicity can impact the timing of diagnosis. Contrary to expectations, children with higher IQs were diagnosed later, suggesting that their intellectual abilities may mask or hide their ADHD symptoms, particularly if they struggle with inattention rather than hyperactivity. This effect was observed in both boys and girls, although the study found no overall difference in diagnosis age between genders. Children from wealthier families and with more educated parents also tended to be diagnosed later, a finding potentially linked to Canada's public healthcare system and increased parental awareness of ADHD nuances. A delay in diagnosis was also observed in children whose mothers identified as non-white, raising concerns about potential cultural biases and barriers to healthcare access for minority groups. The study was published in the British Journal of Clinical Psychology.